Public Safety of Cleveland City Council, please come to order. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum? Would you please call the roll? Present. Thank you. And I want to apologize to the administration and to the viewing public. We were in a meeting, a very important meeting with VAPAC to talk about vacant properties and the issues that we're confronted with in the city of Cleveland as it pertains to residential issues, disinvestment, abandoned properties, et cetera. So it was a meeting that all council members were heavily engaged in, and I want to thank my colleagues for the line of questioning that they had, and I want to thank Frank Ford and people from VAPAC, the team that came in to make their presentation to us. So again, I want to thank the administration for their indulgence and the members of the command staff that are here. Safety Director, please come to the table, and we will begin. Ordinance number 1250-2025. Director, you have a comment on this one before we proceed.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Chair and council members. Yes, it's ordinance number 1250-2025. We would like to hold this piece of legislation so we have additional comments and meetings with tow truck companies, representatives, as well as the representatives from the Division of Police and the impound unit, as well as my staff.
Good. Do you have any idea when they will take place?
We have the meeting scheduled. I believe it's first week of February, but it's scheduled on our calendar, and we'll.
And I would hope that you've asked that the legislation be held. I have no problem with that because we want to make sure when we discuss it, we have all the vital information. But again, I would hope you would brief me as to what the how it went with the tow truck operators.
Absolutely, we will do.
Okay, so without objection, ordinance number 1250-2025 is held at the call of the chair. Thank you. Ordinance number 26-2026 by council members Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety to enter public safety or law to apply for and accept grants from the Cuyahoga County Public Safety and Justice Services for fiscal year 2025 Stop Violence Against Women Act program for sexual assault advocate and for the law enforcement and prosecution components of the Cleveland Domestic Violence Program and authorizing one or more contracts with the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center and other entities to implement the grants. It was read the first time on January 12th, 2026, and referred to the various departments. It was approved by the Director of Public Safety, approved by Director of Finance. There's no legal objection. It was returned to committee on January 21st for proper assignment to committee. And again, approved by Director of Public Safety, approved by Director of Finance. There's no legal objection. And again, to the administration, honorable colleagues, and to the viewing public, this council takes very seriously the issue of domestic violence, sexual assault, and we've indicated that by the legislative action that we've taken. So at this time, I'm going to call upon the director. Director, would you care to explain the piece?
Yes, to the chair and again, council safety committee members. The piece that we're talking about is ordinance number 2026, and this legislation would authorize me, the Director of Public Safety, to apply for and accept 3 grants from Cuyahoga County for fiscal year 25, Violence Against Women Act, or VAWA grants program. This legislation will provide funding for the operation of the Cleveland Domestic Violence Program, law enforcement and prosecution, and the Cleveland Sexual Assault Advocate. These grants have a match requirement. And this is the purpose of the grant. The goal of the Violence Against Women Act grant program is to provide funding to enhance an investigation, prosecution, and victim advocacy of domestic violence, stalking, and sexual assault cases. City of Cleveland will be reimbursed for costs associated with operating the Cleveland Domestic Violence Program. This is a partnership with the Cleveland Police Detectives, Cleveland prosecutors, the victim advocates for County Witness Victim Services. Cleveland will also be reimbursed for the costs associated with a victim advocate from the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center being assigned to the Police Sex Crimes Unit. This program, the DV program for law enforcement, the Cleveland Police Domestic Violence Unit detectives investigate reports of DV and stalk and present them to the prosecutor. The detectives share an office at police headquarters with victim advocates. The grant pays for partial salaries of 2 detectives, and this is how the expenses are reimbursed. Personnel, that's $153,225.90. That's for the detectives. Travel, $4,500 for conferences. Supplies, $3,727.67, and also for a total of $161,453.57 cents. The grant award is $121,090.18, and the matching fund is the $40,363.39.
And to the director, that's out of general fund, the 40,000?
Correct, and we have yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
And for the total I mentioned before, the 161,000.
Thank you.
And then also we have the sexual assault program. The Cleveland Rape Crisis Center assigns a victim advocate full-time to the Police Sex Crimes Unit. They help sexual assault survivors traverse the justice system and locate any needed support. The expenses for this is contractual is $62,940.80 for the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. Supplies is $398.49. Phone is $1,068 for a total of $64,407.29. The grant award is for $48,305.47. Matching amount is $16,101.82 for the total I just mentioned, which is $64,407.29. And next is the Domestic Violence Program prosecution. City of Cleveland Prosecutor's Office provides prosecutors who focus on charging and prosecuting domestic violence and its related crimes. For example, menacing by stalking, aggravated menacing, violation of protection orders. Provide specialized attention to this and the specific concerns that arise with handling such cases and working with individuals affected by domestic violence and abuse. This grant is used to pay for all portion of the salaries for prosecutors to continue to assist in the prosecution of domestic violence offenders in the City of Cleveland through this specialized program. The expenses, $200,966.50. That's for prosecutors and law clerks. Travel, $17,913 for DV conference. $981.37 for supplies, and $6,000 for printing informational pamphlets for a total of $225,860.87. The grant award is for $169,395.65. The matching fund is $56,465.22 for the total I mentioned before, which is $225,000. The grant period is from January 1st of this year through December 31st of this year. This is the 8th year we received a sexual assault grant, and we have received a domestic violence grant since 1997, and we're here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director. And as I indicated earlier, this is something that the council has felt very passionately and strongly about over the years. Would you care to identify your team members at the table here?
Start at the end. The prosecutor we'll start with Prosecutor Jordan at the end.
Thank you.
Okay. And
Introduce yourselves, okay?
Hi, through the council, the chair, to the rest of the council members, Aquila Jordan, City of Cleveland Prosecutor's
Thank
Office.
you.
push the button. Let's turn green. Push it.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Maggie Crespo with the Cleveland Division of Police Sex Crimes and Child Abuse Unit.
Thank you.
The Chair of the Council, my name is Kyle Freeman, Lieutenant Cleveland Police Domestic Violence Unit.
Jason Schachner, Assistant Director of Public Safety.
Thank you. Now, on our side, we have some new members of the committee, so you might not have had the opportunity to meet them. So I'm going to ask to my extreme right, I'm going to start with Councilman Joe Jones. We'll work around the table, identify yourself. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Councilman Joe Jones. I represent the Lee Harbor Severe Miles community, known as Ward 1, and now parts of Mount Pleasant community.
Thank you.
Good morning, Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones of the New Ward 8. Councilwoman Nikki Hudson from the new Ward 11.
Councilmember Richard A. Starr on Ward 5.
Councilman Slife, Ward 15.
Councilmember Kevin Conwell, the home of the Mighty Mighty Top Blooders, Glenville, Collinwood, Mighty Collinwood, and University Circle. Thank you.
Councilman Mike Polensek, Ward 10. Okay, who would care to lead us off on this discussion? What I would ask, excuse me. Okay, I've got you. Okay, so before I call upon, any other, Councilwoman House has Jones, anything else? Council Jones has questions. To the administration, to the prosecutor, do we happen to know in 2025 how many people were prosecuted under this statute that we have?
Questions too, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
If you give me one moment, I'm
Thank
checking
you.
our grant report, and I
Thank
maybe
you.
I'll get that number for you.
okay. Okay. Let me see what I got, okay. Okay, would anyone else, while the prosecutor is looking, would there be any other comment from the administration? No? Any other comments? Okay. I'm going to start with, as you're looking for that information, Madam Prosecutor.
I have that number.
Okay,
for
what
you.
is that?
There were a total of 735 misdemeanor cases brought in the previous year. I unfortunately do not have the felony number cases. Those
Okay.
would have been referred to the county prosecutor's office.
Okay, if you could provide that to us, because this is obviously going to be going on to Finance Committee. So again, I would say to the director in this new year, when we're looking at grants and the performance of grants and initiatives that we've undertaken, if data can be provided to us along with your presentation, would be very helpful, so we can see if we are having an impact, if we are having following through on the target of the grant. We are the recipient, but we want to make sure that the areas that we're trying to address that is taking place. So again, I would say in the future, please have that information for us. I'll call upon Councilwoman House, Stephanie House Jones at this point.
Thank you. Through the chair to the team here. Good afternoon. So I guess this is part of more of a request because it's not provided, of being able to share the complete picture of how many, I guess, in this category, and like understanding the various categories under domestic violence, sexual assaults, having that disaggregated for the different types of people that have come to report it versus then those that have actually went forth through prosecution, and then understanding the results of it. I don't know, is that clear? Is my request clear?
Do you understand the question?
Through the chair, can you repeat that again? I was trying to take notes as you were talking.
Right. So it's one thing where someone comes to say, this happened to me, right? It's a whole other thing for then people to take that initial report and then it translates into judicial action being taken. And then from the judicial action that was taken, it was a court hearing, whether someone is guilty, not guilty, so forth and so on. And so if we can have a clear indication of what is actually happening in our community, I think that would be very helpful to just understand context. And I don't know, based on this work, have there been any things or themes that you can find that is happening in the community as it relates to domestic violence and sexual assault here in the Cleveland area?
Okay. And while you're contemplating that question, I would hope to the Madam Prosecutor that if you could, whatever you could provide to us, if it could be broken down on a ward level as well, so we have the data, so we can each see what's transpiring within our own individual communities. Director?
Yeah, through the chair to Councilmember House Jones. Thank you for your question. And I believe if I'm not mistaken, pretty much what I understand from you is how many individuals or victims that actually reported some type of either sexual assault, domestic violence, or both, and then what actions were taken from those particular individuals, and then the disposition of those particular cases. Does that sound
That is
right?
correct.
Okay.
Right.
I know that Sergeant Freeman has some numbers for you. Right now, we can make sure we get accurate numbers, but they have statistics right now that he can actually give you right now relative to some of the questions that you just asked.
Sergeant?
No, Lieutenant.
Oh, excuse
Freeman.
me, Lieutenant.
The Chair to Council Personnel. So the Domestic Violence Unit handled a total of 2,220 cases last year. 481 of those cases were referred for felony charges, and 386 were referred for misdemeanor charges, with a 46% of our cases being sent to the judicial system for criminal charges.
So I guess through the chair to the team here, so what are the themes or the analysis that you can gather out for, are there any themes, are there any analysis that can be made based on these initial reports?
Who-
To the
who would
council,
ca-
through the chair, to the
Yes.
council lady, one of the resounding themes we can
Pull,
tell.
pull it closer. Yeah.
One of the
there you
resounding things we can tell you from the prosecutor's office that we notice is that after the initial report is taken, our victims are less likely to cooperate. So what we really need from council and hopefully the community is for us to really talk to our community members about staying engaged in the process throughout. It is very difficult based on case law to bring evidence-based prosecution of domestic violence cases. So in order for us to continue on with the cases, and we know the criminal justice system is slow and drawn out at times, we need the support of the citizens to stay engaged in the process so we can successfully prosecute these cases.
Thank you for that. Oh,
Go ahead,
and
Councilwoman.
yes, for the follow-up, through the chair to the team here. And that's one of the things I've been looking at some, I guess, studies that have been done of talking about, I guess, the language that is used in the reporting is basically called signaling, and how basically based on how reports are done can lead to an indication if it's positive language that is used for the reporting, then it's more likely to be taken to prosecution versus the neutrality, or if it's negative language being done. And I don't know if you know which kind of reports I'm talking about. I know this is a body of work that Professor Rachel Lovelow out of Cleveland State University has been doing for a long time. And so I really would like to know how we are using this body of research, potentially or not, if you don't agree with it, don't agree with it, or whatever, that can then build up confidence in victims to even actually want to be partners with us to stay the course if or when they may find themselves being victimized.
Okay. Who would care to comment?
To the council, through the chair to the councilwoman, that is part of why this grant is so critical. One of the things our offices do is actually community outreach. And so we are very intentional about ensuring we are in the community, talking directly to victims, passing out informational pamphlets or brochures so we can rebuild that trust. Kudos to the detectives in the domestic violence unit because sometimes they have very little information to go on. And they get out, they talk to the victims, they try to talk to witnesses. When appropriate, they interview the children that may have been witness to this. They do everything they can and bring every single case to our office to review. Sometimes that means they are in our office while we ourselves are calling victims, right? Just so we can see if there's any way we can move forward with these cases. So I do appreciate the support of the domestic violence unit for the detectives. Of course, I always wish there are more detectives there because they are so phenomenal. But it really is about us continuing to be engaged in the community, which is what this grant supports.
Okay. Any other
Thank you.
questions?
I will stop here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Joe Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that you requested earlier, there was the breakdown of these numbers of 2,200. I want to say that was the number 2,220 different actions or assaults that were taking place last year. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman? to the distinguished gentleman?
To the chair, to council member, yes, that is correct. 2,220 domestic violence cases.
And do we, I know that the chairman asked, was it broken up in the wards? Is it broken up in the wards or
To the
east
chair,
side
to the
versus
council
west side?
member, no, it's not
It's
broken
not.
up in wards.
Would that be difficult to assemble that information quickly,
Based on,
Mr. Chairman?
yeah, well, we're going to ask them, and I don't know if that would be the
Through the
prosecutor's.
chair to the-
Okay, go ahead.
Through the chair, council member, well, we can take a look at that.
Okay.
I can't answer that right now, but we can take a look and see if we can break that down.
Yeah.
And so, it would be, I would certainly be interested to know that as soon as possible for my territory, because, we want to start making the awareness known and have a meeting in our community. A lot of times I get a lot of calls dealing with domestic violence, and actually both ways. So I know that we hear a lot about women being assaulted, but men are being assaulted too. And so I guess my question would be, have you seen an upward trend there, or what are the numbers that look like in that on the opposite side of this?
Who could care to answer that?
The chair to council members. So the domestic violence unit handles mainly female victims according to the grant language. So very few male victims do we handle.
Do you have them coming forth, Mr. Chairman? Do they come forth and tell their stories, or they're kind of quiet about it?
Whoever can answer that?
So the male victims that we have had, they do come forward, yes.
I see.
So wait, just on that point. So if you have, educate us, adult versus a child. So if you had a male child abuse, what's the step? What's the process? Yeah.
To the chair, that would be handled by the sex crimes unit. Any children that are victims of domestic violence, we handle that.
Okay, Councilman Jones?
Yeah, the reason why I asked, because I had a couple of cases, was interested on how they told me how they were treated. Man up was one of the words. You should be so lucky you were touched. So it's just, I just wanted to get an idea, just how broad or base it is. Also, I would like to know, Mr. Chairman, to the director, this grant that we have, what's the total grant amount? Because I see there's like 3 of these. What's the total of this entire grant amount that's being assessed here? Is it the bottom where it says total project amount 225, 860, 87?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, it's broken down in 3 separate grants, and one is for the domestic violence program, law enforcement. The other is for the sexual assault program, and then the DV program itself for the prosecution is broken down into the 3 different grants.
Is it the total at the bottom of
The total, yes, so the total project amount, for example, for the domestic violence program law enforcement, the total is $161,453.57, and the sexual assault program, the total is $64,407.29, and the DV program prosecution is the total is $225,860.87.
87 cents?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, and so how many people are actually, is the grants covering the salaries of these actual people? Or do we have more money that's added to it? I mean, what's the overall budget for domestic violence program that you have here in the city of Cleveland?
Through the chair, this the program that we have in front of the grant, for the VOW grant, it's for 2 detectives. For at least the law enforcement, there are 2 detectives. The salary for personnel for them is $153,000.
Right.
And the other one is for the sexual assault, and that's for the Rape Crisis Center, Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. They have advocates assigned. And then obviously you have the prosecutors. Well, we have personnel from the prosecutor's office, which is the prosecutors and law clerks who are involved in this as well.
So are you saying that the prosecutors some of their portion comes out of this grant as well?
Yes, there are currently 7 staff members from the prosecutor's office who a portion of their salary is funded through this grant.
I see. And I guess the question I would have, Mr. Chairman, to the director is how many people are actually working on domestic violence for us in the city of Cleveland?
Director, Lieutenant,
The chair to the council member. The domestic violence unit has a total of 6 detectives, 1 sergeant, and 1 lieutenant. 2 of those detectives fall under the grant funding.
I see. And Mr. Chairman, lastly, on the proposition of the grant, I would love to have an opportunity where we can have a meeting in our neighborhood to talk about domestic violence and how to deal with domestic violence, how to be able to identify it, as well as all of the programs are available, because I know that what we're having in front of us right now is just part of some of the grants. And I presume that there's a lot of different opportunities and programs available to assist people who are unfortunately victims in this. As the prosecutor eloquently stated, that, hey, we need to get more people to stay into the program so that the prosecution can happen. And then I guess on that ending note, what are some of the things that you would suggest that how we could help here as a council to assist in that whole proposition of things?
Director, anyone would care to
Would be
comment?
to the prosecutor.
Oh,
Prosecutor, Madam Prosecutor, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair to the councilman, thank you for that question. Domestic violence is unique because it involves families. And at the end of the day, the majority of these families are going to stay intact. And so we have to look at the systemic issues that lead to domestic violence and how we further support our families once the case ends. We know through the data collected that oftentimes before police are contacted, there are 7 instances of domestic violence in our household. We have to do 7 incidents before police are contacted. We also know that domestic violence, more particularly strangulation, carries a high lethality factor, meaning it's an indicator for future murders. We need to do a better job of supporting our families overall so they have the resources so that when they get stressed, when they get in these situations, they do not take it out on each other.
Good
Mr.
point.
Chairman, I want to thank you.
Thank
I want to thank the prosecutor. I want to thank people here at the table that help our folks that certainly are in need.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman, for your line of questioning. Councilman Conwell, then Councilwoman Hudson.
Chair to the prosecutor, so what you guys do you send them to some kind of classing or counseling and to try to do prevention?
To the chair through the council person. So we do not do prevention on the front end because other than our community engagement, we don't get involved with the families before a case is brought to us. But when we do have a domestic violence case, we do try to do things. Our court has phenomenal programs. We have amazing judges in the Cleveland Municipal Court who understand the unique situation that domestic violence poses. And so we have our CAPS program, we have our anger management program.
Acronym. What's CAPS to the chair?
I forget the exact breakdown, but I will get that for you. It's a community action type program that teaches our offenders better skill sets so that when they are reintegrated to the families, right, that we have armed them with some sort of resources to help lower recidivism rates.
Okay.
Let me, to the chair,
Yes.
do me a favor, prosecutor. Write down the, get some of them to start working with Al Grimes as well, with the fatherhood movement. Best thing a father can do for his children is to respect his children's mother. And we gotta change some of those behaviors and get the,
Councilman, talk into the mic, please.
if we can get we can get the courts, I turn my head, we get the courts to start doing referrals, that would be a good thing. Or maybe we can even do a class session there with the courts, because prevention is the key. Because even dealing with domestic violence, you know, you're an expert through the chair to the prosecutor. It's the children. You're gonna hurt the children, and then they see that in the long run, and then they think the best way or how to resolve issues is to hit and fight, and you'll get that on and on. So we looking at the children, and when the children go to school, this young boy is wondering, is his mother and father fighting? and then you look at their grades and wonder why he was once or she an A student, but the student now is making D's and F's. Or the student act out in school and start fighting another student because they think that's the best way on how to do it. So with the counseling, as you said earlier through the chair, to Prosecutor Jordan, the whole family get involved with it. You just said that 2 minutes ago.
No, I didn't. Now, you still got, that was the other phone. You still got 2 minutes left on this one. Okay.
Got to get that fatherhood movement involved with it. And then even Councilwoman House Jones, they have a group that they started on dealing with black women, and look at some of the systems there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, for keeping time. Okay. Councilwoman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the prosecutor, you mentioned, how it's important to develop a partnership with the victims to continue on through the process to ensure that cases are prosecuted. But then you also mentioned that, in cases of domestic violence where strangulation occurs, that it's a high indication of future murder. What is being done to help protect victims where reintegration with the families is not an option?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, I'm so grateful you asked that question. That is where another essential component of this grant really comes into play, and that is our advocacy supports. Cleveland partners with the Cuyahoga County Witness and Victim Services, who provide advocates to our victims to arm them with skills so that when a victim is ready to leave that situation, they have the supports and skill set to help them get to a safer place. One of the things this grant also provides is that pamphlet I talked about that our office provides that is grant funded. We have it in English, Spanish, and it's available, will be available online in 2 other languages. It provides a plethora of resources throughout Cuyahoga County that our victims can use. Part of why that pamphlet brochure becomes so important is for victims who aren't ready to engage in the process yet. We can get that in their hands so that they know there are resources available. Some victims may never engage in the criminal process, right? But if we can arm them with information to help keep themselves safe, then that's part of the importance of what we do.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the committee? I would just say again, as I said earlier, this is something the council has felt very strongly about over the years. So this will be going on to finance, but I would hope that you could supply all that data to us, either in a handout or a part of your summary document. So it would save us some time of asking questions, and anything you could do to the prosecutor and to the director that you can provide to us broken down by ward would be very helpful in us indicating to see if we're having a big problem in our neighborhood. We might not know about it because as we all know, the reporting process has changed substantially over the years to city council, and please correct me wrong, as a result of Marcy's Law. So there's a lot of information that we don't get anymore that we used to get. So that's a challenge for us here, and that's to the viewing public, because the viewing public thinks that we have access to everything. We don't, as a result of Marcy's Law. So, which I find difficult at times, because we all like to know what's happening and who the victims are, so if there's anything we can do to assist, but we're denied that information today by law. So it's a challenge for us. So whatever data you can supply to us would be very helpful. So without any further line of questioning, ordinance number 26-2026 is approved as read. Please sign it up. And again, we'll look for that data before at the Finance Committee. And to the prosecutor, thank you. To the Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence team, thank you very much for coming. We're going to go right into a presentation with regards to the nuisance law, which is of great concern to the body. This is something that the council enacted some time ago. We updated it last year. I want to thank the administration for the support that I work with them very closely on updating the nuisance law. So again, this is a critical piece because we all know that we are dealing with the neighbors from hell at some times, and we're dealing with the landlords that are from the same location. And so, but we want to make sure that our citizens and our families have protection from those individuals and or those landlords, specifically absentee landlords who do not want to police their properties adequately. So, Director and Assistant Director, the floor is yours to update us on the City of Cleveland's nuisance law.
Yes, sir. Chair and council members, Assistant Director Shackner is our lead in my office and part of our team who helped with this legislation. And he has a presentation for the body.
Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Just for some background, with the criminal activity nuisance, which is ordinance or codified ordinance 630.01 and 630.02, these were amended first in, I think, March or April of last year, and then after performing the searches of the properties and starting the nuisance declarations and warning letters, we came back to council to make some additional changes which were enacted in July of 2025. Just so everybody's on the same page, this is distinguishable from public health nuisances. These are criminal activity nuisances, meaning that if three criminal activities that are enumerated in the ordinance occur at a property, that a warning letter could be sent out. At that time, the property owner has to submit an abatement plan of how they are going to prevent any future criminal activities from occurring. If they don't provide that plan, they're fined within a certain amount of time, they're fined $100 a day until they do provide such a plan.
Assistant Director, you forgot to mention how many times before that kicks in?
Right, that is three events.
Over what period of time?
Over a year.
Okay.
And then let's say once they hit those three events, they're kept on a list for a year. If a fourth event occurs within that year, then they're declared a nuisance. They're fined $250. And then if another within that year, that's $500, then $750, then $1,000, and then each one after that is $1,000. I'll start with addressing some challenges with the criminal activity nuisance enforcement. One is that certainly our goal was to continue essentially a spot check. So we created our division of crime analytics, we created a Power BI, which accessed our CAD system, which is computer assisted aided dispatch system, where we were able to spot check properties and determine which have had 3 reports that qualified under nuisance activity. That is very time intensive because you're talking thousands of calls that occur. You have to narrow it, and then you have to further narrow it to ones that have already been or received a warning letter, and what hasn't, what counts. You have to investigate each one to ensure that the events actually occurred or more likely than not occurred, because that's a probable cause standard. So we've been working. We eventually created a cadence where once a month we would go through the list of all the calls and see which properties would qualify. Now, in the fall, the police CAD and records management system changed over. At that time, it impacted our ability to look at histories of properties. So we were unable to do that spot checking. We're still currently working with digital analytics to reinstitute that spot checking, but that doesn't mean that we're still not doing property evaluations. During that time, we created a form which we sent and we had meetings with the commanders of the districts where if they have a problem property, they could fill out this form about all the criminal activities that have occurred, and we can investigate and enforce the nuisance ordinance against them. Just on its own, with property reviews that we get from either the public or council or other areas of the city, we have performed more than 200 of those since June. And also we have become involved in the problem property board, which includes members from the building and housing, the prosecutors from code enforcement. So we could kind of go back and forth and see if we have identified a problem property or someone else has, is there a way to go after them using the criminal activity nuisance, or is it a public health nuisance, or are there other avenues? So with that, we have a new commander recently that's over dispatch. So we do have plans to speak with dispatch and meet with them to ensure that the right notes that make it easier for us to do these investigations are being inputted into the system. And then I'm just going to show some of the stats and some reminders here, the history. So the impetus of this change in the ordinance is that between the years 2019 and 2014, these were the declared nuisances per year. In 2019, you see there were 9. In 2020, there were 8. In 2021, there were 6. 2022, there were 2. 2023, there was 1. In 2024, there were no declared nuisances.
That is pitiful right there.
Yeah. Some of that had to do with there used to be a system that broke down, change in administrations, and COVID certainly had an impact in investigations. But also there were barriers in the way that the ordinance was written, where there was a view that there actually had to be a citation issued in order for a criminal activity to count towards a nuisance. And a lot of these quality of life issues, such as noise complaints, they're low priority calls. So by the time an officer gets there, it's over. On those low type misdemeanors type of calls, in some events, you have to observe the activity in order to issue a citation. So you weren't able to count as a criminal activity. The change in the ordinance allowed us just to have probable cause that it did observe, and clarifies that a citation is not necessary. Therefore, based on interviews or videos received from the complainant, we were able to move forward. So you'll see the change since June. We've sent out 71 warning letters, meaning that they had 3 activities or more and had to submit an abatement plan, and we have declared 14 properties a nuisance. And that's just since June. Again, as a reminder, we have not even been doing this for a year, so we're still working through our processes and improving on them. There you see kind of breakdown about nuisance warning letters by ward. Of course, this is the old ward numbers because that's the data we had at the time we did these. And then, and these are the declared nuisances by ward since June 2025. You see it's not equally applicable across the board. Some wards had no nuisances declared, some had 2. We were, as a little sampling of the abatement plans that we received from, for example, one was a car wash. One of the issues was that there were parties going on at this car wash when it was closed and was bothering the neighbors. They put up cameras and actually a remote sprinkler system. So when they see people on the property after hours, they turn on the sprinklers. We had an Airbnb that was causing a lot of issues downtown with parties and disturbing the other residents in the apartment complex. The owner said, okay, he requires a deposit now. If you live within 30 miles of the city, you're not allowed to rent for just a day. There's like a 3-day minimum to avoid those type of parties. Extra security. We've had evictions implemented in some of these properties. We've had property management companies that instituted new rules and let their tenants know that if we're getting a letter from the city saying you're causing a problem, that's a violation of your lease, and we're going to start eviction proceedings. We had commercial properties where we had street takeovers occurring or starting on their parking lots, and they've indicated that they're going to mill their parking lot. They're going to look into adding islands, so it's not just a free-for-all of people doing donuts in there anymore. So that is the reason we have seen results. We're looking forward to creating, hopefully with our new CAD system and once everything's set up and all the historical data is accessible, hopefully being able to automate some of this, because right now it's all manually done in terms of looking and seeing which properties have 3 or more, just based on a spot check, doing a regular cadence of it without somebody reporting it. So hopefully we'll be able to automate that process, give our digital analysts the tools they need to do that, and that is on the horizon for us.
Okay. So I have Councilman Jones. First, I'm going to call again on the vice chair and then Councilman Jones. But let me just say that to my colleagues to give you a little bit of a background. Early last year, I went to the safety director and assistant safety director with growing concerns, because I was the co-sponsor of the original piece that was enacted, I don't know how long ago, a long time ago. And I felt that it was not being enforced, the nuisance law, based on complaints that I was receiving and I was hearing from my colleagues. And lo and behold, to their benefit, they did their own research and came back very clear that the nuisance law wasn't not being enforced. And in the course of their due diligence, their deep dive, they came across some areas that they thought were impeding the enforcement or the implementation of the nuisance law. So again, I want to say for the record of my colleagues and to the viewing public, I really appreciate the safety director and assistant safety director for really, and their team for going in, deep diving, working with me, and then they came up with some recommendations and changes which we collectively, the council, implemented. We passed, and now you can see from the data where we were having virtually no nuisances declared. Think about that, from 2019 to 2024, just since June of last year, how many nuisance letters have gone out and how many properties and / landlords or tenants have been declared as nuisances. So again, I want to say for the record, I really want to thank the safety director and the assistant safety director, because the numbers speak for themselves. It's the position of the council that if you want to terrorize your neighbors, if you want to terrorize your street, you want to be disrespectful, there's going to be a price to pay. I feel very strongly about that. And especially where we're seeing where we have the greatest problem, again, is we just came out of a meeting talking about absentee landlords. That's where we have our greatest problem, is with absentee landlords who rent to the neighbors from hell, or who don't care, or the Airbnbs, people who don't, in some cases, don't even live in the city or the state, renting out their units to have crazy parties, and then the community and the neighbors have to suffer. And by the way, we're going to be dealing with that very shortly, the Airbnb legislation that for some reason sat, and I've asked that it be moved. So I've been talking to Councilman Conwell and others that we need to move on that, because we're all being affected negatively by that as well. So again, I'm going to just say this for the record. I want to thank the administration, the director and assistant director, for the action and their team that they've taken, because the proof is in the pudding. Before I call upon the vice chair and Councilman Jones, tell us from a perspective of the viewing public, and first let's start with the council. We have a nuisance, we're getting complaints. What should we do?
The council can contact either myself or Sergeant Leonard. Actually, the most direct email would be the public safety mail at clevelandohio.gov. That is looked at by myself our administrative assistant,
Okay.
Sergeant Lana and Detective Brown, who all are involved in doing these property reviews. So that, if you want to talk about one-stop shop of where council can do, instead, if you don't want to pick up the phone and call us or email director or I directly, you can do public safety mail and issue your complaint in property there, and that would ensure it will be looked at.
So that would be for a council person. From a citizen who's viewing this at home, what should a citizen do? We were instructed to tell our citizens to call 911.
The citizen could call 911. That will get tracked in the system, and we are currently working on training for our dispatchers to ensure that they take down that information, take it seriously, know that people are being told to call 911, even if it seems like it's not a life or death issue. I would also say that public safety mail at clevelandohio.gov is also available to the
Okay.
public to talk about
if I-
news property.
And if I can also
Go ahead,
jump
Director.
in, Chair. Yeah, we encourage our citizens to call if it's a non-emergency.
Right.
It's a non-emergency. Please, we recommend, suggest that they call 216-621-1234.
Okay.
Again, that's 216-621-1234. That way we can free up the 911 calls for the emergency calls. But again, we do have non-emergency numbers as well.
Okay, and I would ask you to send, because obviously, just the committee members here, I would ask you to send a piece of correspondence to all members as it pertains to the 630.01 and 02 of the codified ordinances on a nuisance complaint. This is what you should do, which in turn we can pass on to our constituents. I think it would be very helpful. Yes. Okay, at this time, I'm going to call, I have an order. I have the vice chair, and then I have Councilman Jones, I have Councilwoman Hudson, and I have Councilman Conwell. Councilman Starr. You good? Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, this has been an issue for quite some time, like Mike Polensek was saying it, and, you know, I've had like several different commanders in the 4th District over the space and time since I've been a council person. Almost seems like I get a new commander every 2 years. And one of the things that we were told, and Mr. Chairman, you could correct me,
Okay.
if you hadn't heard this too in years past, that wherever you have the largest amount of issues and problems and situations and crime, that assets will be allocated in those directions. The 4th District is unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, to the director, is just being overrun. And with no continuity in terms of leadership there, we have problems. And I have several problems, Mr. Chairman, to the director that I want to talk about, talking about nuisance. And I'm going to go to the one that's the lower level first. And this nuisance is something that I've brought to the attention of every single director, not director, but commander in the district, is these junkyards along Miles Avenue. If you could write it down, I'll give you the information, because I'd like to have something done here on these issues. Miles Avenue, up and down Miles Avenue between, I would say, East 138th Street, no, respectively, East 136th Street, all the way up to about East 153rd Street. We have a major issue there in terms of these junkyards on that strip, in addition to South Miles, from Lee and South Miles all the way up to East 174th Street. These actors are parking their junk vehicles all over the sidewalks. And they are a nuisance. People can't get by. There's laws against it. And I've complained about it, and we are not getting the kind of enforcement we need to get in that as relates to nuisance. So what can we do, Mr. Chairman, to the director to try to deal with this ongoing problem that, again, brings the neighborhood down. Because we're talking about junkyard cars all out in the open, all out in the front of the sidewalks, and they just don't care.
Director?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, again, thanks for bringing this problem to our attention. I know that you said that there's not a continuity of leadership in the District 4. I know there have been some changes in the commandership, as you're aware. Currently, there's an acting commander there, Sean Smith, I believe, is really doing a good job, at least from what I understand and what I hear. And from my observations, he's doing a really good job. And I would suggest that you contact him in particular for this particular issue with the junkyards along miles between 136 and 152 and along south miles from Lee up to 174th with the issue of these individuals parking their junk cars, as you stated, on the sidewalk. I think it starts with him and them working with other city departments such as building and housing to make sure that they being the business owners for these junkyards are in compliance with the laws, the permits and that they have, and if not, obviously the officers or the inspectors from the various departments can, if they need to cite the individuals, then they can. But that would be my suggestion and recommendation.
Well, the reason why, Mr. Chairman, I'm bringing it to you in such a public manner is because in the years past it hasn't worked. So why I'm bringing it to you, Mr. Chairman, to the safety director, is to help my neighborhood become a little bit better than what it is. So I'd like to work with you directly because I brought it to all of these other people and it has fell on deaf ears. Now, Mr. Chairman, to our safety director, another issue that's a major issue for me in my neighborhood right now is not only that issue of a nuisance, but one where it's concerning to me in terms of safety. And again, I've dealt with all of these people, just like you've suggested just here at the table again, where I've asked them, you know, why can't you put a police car here? Why can't you catch this person that you know is breaking into this building once, twice a week? And I think the last person's response to me was, I can't think, Commander Heather, was that this was a low misdemeanor felony, a minor misdemeanor piece, where this person, and I'll give you two examples. The first one was Family Dollar on Miles Avenue. And that store kept being robbed twice a week, like clockwork. And it was so bad and so embarrassing as a citizen, as an American citizen, to walk into the store and hear a recording as soon as you walk in the door that we have cameras, please do not rob us, coming into the store. And so we brought this to all these folks' attention, and they did nothing about it, to such a degree that it led, unfortunately, to one of the employees getting shot and killed over here on the bus stop of Miles Avenue and Lee Road. And now we have a similar situation now happening in our Dollar General on Lee Road near Invermere. And it's gotten so bad that the person comes in, they know who the person is, Mr. Chairman, to our safety director. He comes into the store, he loads up his shopping cart, he gets what he wants, casually walks right on out. They know he's loading it in his car. They tell him they're going to call the police. He says, so what? Call them. You want to use my phone? And he's doing it consistently. We've brought this to the director's attention, Heather, and that was her response. So now I've lost the Family Dollar store, which is closed on Miles Avenue now because of it. And in years past, I lost U-Haul, because of people coming in and again bringing this information to our commanders in our district about them cutting catalytic converters out of the U-Haul, and then catching people sleeping in the trucks to no avail, no help. And we've been talking about this, Mr. Polensek, this morning about how the East Side is being devastated, and all of these types of things are happening, and we're not getting any help anywhere. Which way? We're not getting help in housing. We're not getting help in code enforcement. We're not getting help in all of these little small issues, and they add up to major issues. And unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, as you are well aware, we're losing population because of it. So how can we, Mr. Chairman, to the safety director, deal with this ongoing issue? And I could keep going, but I don't want to beat you and badger you this morning because it's a new year. But I do need help with Dollar General as it relates that we know who it is. We got them on camera. They made these police reports, not one report, but several reports. And now I can't even go in there because I look like a oogie to these people because they're saying it's still happening when I go into their store. And what are you going to do about it, Councilman Jones? And I tell them I told the police about it till I'm blue in the face. So now I'm sitting here at this table dealing with this nuisance that we haven't dealt with and now unless, Mr. Chairman, we're going to get a new kind of program in the city of Cleveland because we don't have police enforcement, go back to the old Western days where you deputize people and give them a gun to go help keep the neighborhood safe. I don't know what we can do right now. So can you help me, Mr. Chairman, to the safety director to deal with this issue?
Director?
Thank you. Through the chair to Councilman Jones. I'm sorry that you're experiencing the things you just described. I want to make sure that your community, as well as all communities, are safe and have the proper police protection that you and your residents in the community deserve. As far as and I'll start with the junkyards and work my way back to the stores, Dollar General and others and so forth. As far as the junkyard's concerned, and if you can provide those, and I can obviously look them up, but if you can provide those addresses, we can look and see if they're will apply to the nuisance property. There's a possibility. We'll take a look at that. I will also work with District Commander out there, the acting commander, Sean Smith, about some of the issues that you mentioned concerning those junkyards along South Miles and also along Miles as well. And as far as the Dollar General and other stores that you have the same individuals committing a crime, like I say, loading up the carts and walking out. I too will work with and talk with the commander in that district, which is Sean Smith, and see what plan of action that they have in place to deal with that particular situation, especially since it's ongoing. I'll work with him and also make sure that he works with you and your staff to again, make sure that there's a plan of action in place to deal with this particular issue and bring it to an end and identify this person and hold that person responsible for the robberies at that particular Dollar General.
Thank you, Director.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I just want to add to this, thank you, Mr. Chairman, to the Director. I haven't had a chance to bring this to the new commander's attention, so in all fairness, and because I know that he is busy, he's got his hands full. The 4th District is probably one of the most tough districts there is. You probably need to have 2 commanders over there, if not 3. In addition to giving us 25 to 30 more police officers to deal with it, the issues in our community, in addition to more equipment and cars and vehicles. So we are certainly at a shortage, Mr. Chairman, as relates to safety in the 4th District. And Mr. Chairman, to the Safety Director and to the administration, those who are hearing, we need more help over there. We've been promised, Mr. Chairman, to the Safety Director that we would get assistance and help. And unfortunately, we haven't received that kind of assistance and help here now going on 9 years. And so I would hope, Mr. Chairman, from one administration that we have, from Mr. Jackson's administration, now here in Bibb's administration, we have been promised that we will get more help over in that district. So we need help. And Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say that to the director that the new commander hadn't brought it to his attention, so I don't want
Thank
this to be any kind of ill effect upon his being the new commander in the
Thank you,
district.
Councilman. I can add you back on the list, but your time is up. And I
Thank you, Mr.
appreciate-
Chairman.
Can I-
That's all I need.
Yes. you
Can I
want-
respond? Thank you. Again, through the chair to Councilman Jones, thank you for mentioning about not having the opportunity to discuss this with Acting Commander Smith. I think if you give him the opportunity, I think you'll see a big difference with him and his leadership. And also it's important to note that our staffing in Division of Police is increasing. We have 65 in the academy right now. Our staffing, including those in the academy, and I know they're not on the street, so I'll give you, the numbers. The raw numbers is 1,235. That includes the recruits. And if you break that down, the budget and staffing, as you know, is 1,350. So, we're getting relatively close to our numbers of 1,350. We're going to put another class on, which will be Class 162, which is scheduled to either start in April or May of this year. So we're really moving to inch up to our budgeted numbers, 1,350. So we're getting pretty close to those numbers. So
Thank you.
we're increasing our staffing.
Thank you, Dirk. Councilwoman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the safety director. Of the 14 properties that were declared nuisances in 2025, after that declaration, did the activity at those properties stop? Or so what effect did the nuisance declaration have on that?
There was, through the chair to the councilwoman, there was only one property that had an additional activity occur. So the activity did stop at all other properties. So 13 out of 14.
Okay, I have another question. Of the properties where warning letters were sent, but not necessarily declared nuisances, was connecting with the rightful property owner an issue? And what is being done to follow through to make sure that that the letter does reach the rightful property owner?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoever.
Through the chair to the councilwoman. That was an issue with the prior ordinance, which required us to wait 10 days from when the letter was received, so we didn't know whether or not the person actually received it. That was difficult to track. People could refuse it if we send it certified mail. So we changed it from 10 days from when the letter is sent, which mimics things that are in civil service and other areas in our code in terms of service rules. So we do our best. We used a text mailing address to send the letter. If that comes back, which it has, as either vacant or address unknown, we then post it to the actual property. There has been instances where people have just ignored and haven't sent us an abatement plan due to that. Those people are racking up fines at $100 a day. They receive an invoice at the end of the month of $3,000 or $3,100, depending on how many days are in the month. And those in September get certified to the county to go on the property taxes. So one way or another, we're looking to get their attention again. When people we've had instances where finally someone responsible did get the letter or noticed that they're being fined this amount of money. They come into contact with us, gave an abatement plan and worked with us. We have waived those fines because our goal is not to jam people up or make money off of this. We want people in the community to fix the problem, the property owners to fix the problem. So we have been successful in that manner, and I'm sure that we'll hear more from these property owners come next September when their fines are going to be certified to the county.
So there's a situation in my ward that I actually became aware of the night that I was sworn in. You know, I was given a handwritten note from the clerk before I was even an official council member. And the number of calls to this particular address, it's an apartment building, far exceeded the number required for the nuisance to kick in. A nuisance letter has been sent, I believe, to the property itself. However, the owner of record is in Israel. And part of the issue with the building is the property management. You know, I've met with the tenants, and so I'm very familiar with what's going on there. You know, what can I do to follow through and make sure? I mean, we can't wait until September. It's a dire situation going on at this property.
Director?
Through the council chair to councilwoman, without knowing more about the facts on the ground and what the activities are that they're having issues with, whether it's a public health issue or criminal activity issue. With that, I could recommend keeping in contact with the commander in the district to ensure that things are followed up on. In terms of the property owner, this has been an issue that building and housing has been working with and holding these property owners accountable when their property management people are not up to snuff and not doing what they're supposed to. So we are using an all-of-government approach in that we're using the tool that we have the only tool that we have in terms of the criminal activity nuisance declared is to declare them a nuisance and keep finding when the call. I would recommend if you could provide me the address, we could have our staff, our partners look into the property, see how many calls were made. If we need to send additional or make additional findings against the property, we can do that.
Yeah, through the chair, that and Jason, Assistant Director Shatner is correct. It's the all-of-government approach. If you can provide us with the address, we can work with, the other departments, Division of Police and so forth, and attack it in different ways as well.
And I am in constant contact with Commander Woods about this property, so he is well aware.
Can you send that to us as well, please?
So I've been going through the commander.
You can.
So if I'm not sure if that's
To the chair. Yeah, you still work through the commander, but we like to have the property address as well.
all right.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lee. Good question. One of the things I wanted to direct to both of you gentlemen and to my colleagues, why this is so important, because this information could be admissible in a liquor hearing. Let's say if you had a carry-out establishment or on-premise consumption, and it was a constant source of complaints, in a liquor hearing, that information would be admissible in a state liquor hearing if its city has declared it a nuisance. The other question is to follow up on Councilman Hudson's comments. That same thing. I would hope that you could build in a referral to Building and Housing Court or Building and Housing Department, because when we prosecute a case, if it can be substantiated that this is a nuisance as well besides building code violations, that might have a greater bearing with the housing court judge on the type of fine or penalty that is in place. At the end of the day, the term that we've tried to, that I know that I've coined in my own neighborhood is the misery index. I'm trying to raise the misery index on the people and businesses that make my neighborhood miserable or make the neighborhood miserable. So anything we can do to create a paper trail on these nuisance properties, whether it be a liquor establishment, on-premise, convenient type store, whatever address, because we know when we're getting complaints, 9 times out of 10, if we're getting nuisance complaints, you bet your bottom dollar that there's building code violations on that establishment or that location as well. So on that note, thank you again, Councilwoman, for raising those issues. Councilman Conwell, then Slife.
Thank you very much. I'm going to piggyback on what you're talking about, Mr. Chairman. You know, and to you, building and housing, I think when we first, it was me, Donna Brady, and Jay Westbrook, when we first introduced this nuisance law.
That was me, too.
And you as well, Mr. Chairman, you as well. We had to fight for it because they didn't want to do it over the hall. You remember that? It was
Yeah,
a
I
battle,
remember.
man. And so, I was there too. Build,
Yeah, in your dream, you were. Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
You threw me off on that one. I got to take that out of my mind. Building and housing, I think, didn't we give them the authority to do nuisance as well as, to the chair, I'm talking with you, the health department?
Mr. Chair, to my honorable colleague, the health department can cite. I mean, they can actually serve a notice. Same with building and housing. So they don't need
Right.
the nuisance law. They have the existing
So-
codified ordinances, which we all argue they're not enforcing now.
That's what I'm
part
saying.
of our challenge.
Right.
Yeah. So if we get them to enforce the law, and then we have the nuisance law for, again, for disruption, chaos, whatever the case may be, now we have multiple paths we can go down against that establishment or that property. It's just getting everybody on the same page here.
We could do prevention with that, and through the chair to the, you're giving me the commander look right now, because he was our commander for a while. Safety director, do you guys meet with the health department and building the housing? Because health and safety, they're directly correlated. Do you guys meet?
Through the chair, Councilman Conwell, it's a good question. We meet not on a regular cadence. We don't have a regular cadence that we meet with them, but as Assistant Director Shatner stated, we use an all-of-government approach with these nuisance. If it's anything associated or deals with building and housing, we'll work with the director and the inspectors there. Same thing with health. We'll work with the director and his inspectors to make sure that we, again, apply an all-of-government approach to these nuisance property.
So let me ask you this. Here's the other question to the chair. With Councilmember Joe Jones was narrating, when your police officers, when they're in their zones, and they actually see crimes happening, because I know they do, because when I pass by, I call. And I know they see it because I see them out there patrolling. Do they call in a nuisance? And what happened? Do we follow up on it, or
Through the chair,
what?
through the chair to Councilman Conwell, obviously it's a crime in progress. They're going to take the appropriate and requisite enforcement action. If it's something that's persistent, they will deal with it themselves as well. Also work with their supervisors and the units that they have, the respective districts, to deal with that particular issue. Part of the nuisance, criminal nuisance property, is taking the information that's actually put into the system by the officers. The officer may see something, deal with it themselves. That's put into the computer-aided system, the CAD system, computer-aided dispatch system, the CAD system.
Right.
So we have a record of it. So when we're checking the respective addresses, we can extrapolate that information that's entered by either the officer, because they have terminals inside their vehicles, or information that they give to the dispatcher, which is entered into the system. So again, so we have the ability to extrapolate that particular information out of the system, so we can respond accordingly to those criminal nuisance properties.
So through the chair, do you see the police officers doing it? Because you were a commander and you did roll calls, and did you narrate that to them? I'm just asking so I can know.
Through the chair, when Jason, that is, I want to give credit where credit is due. Jason is the one that put this together after talking with Council Chair, Safety Chair Polensek. Part of the responsibility under my team and Assistant Director Shatner in particular is to actually go out to the districts and explain the new criminal nuisance property to the commanders, the patrol officers, supervisors, so they have a basic understanding of how the new or amended legislation would work. So they have an idea of what we expect in order for us to, again, hold property owners, property managers responsible for their properties in our communities, that they're abiding by the laws, and that's expected in our communities.
Yeah, through the chair, that's crime prevention when they see that, and it have to be ongoing, because you could tell them to do it one time, they get out there, they do it, but you got to constantly keep training, and it have to be in your training manual for us to keep doing it over and over again so that it become part of their DNA. Through the chair.
Through the chair to Councilman, I agree. And part of this, the training process include providing our contact information. So if they have any questions and any clarification, we're always available to answer the questions and make sure that that we answer their questions, give the information they need to be to have successful prosecution or successful in our enforcing the criminal nuisance law.
Yeah, because your sergeants, the sergeant is, through the chair, sorry, Mr. Chairman. The sergeant is the one that supervise the patrol officers. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councilman Cowell, that's correct.
So the sergeants, are you talking with them so that they can push it? Because, you know, when we are in our meetings, the new ones don't know this yet, they blame us for everything. And they blame us for even if you're police officers, if they didn't call it in or if I didn't call it in, we get blamed for that, and we really care. It's not just to blame, but we want people to execute on their job. Through the chair to the whoever want to answer.
Through the chair to the councilman, from the start of this process, I've answered calls from sergeants asking about certain properties that they're aware of and whether certain activities qualify, and I've instructed them on how to provide us the information. They've provided us information in the past of the events in a way that we're able to investigate and determine whether a nuisance needs to be declared or a warning letter has to be sent. Our team, Assistant Director Michael Herb, did create an internal form that an officer can fill out that includes the property, the ward, the property owner, the alleged offenses that they've occurred, and it populates into a database, which then the rest of our team is pinged on that, so we know it's in there to go and investigate. And that was rolled out to the command staff and is being rolled out to the rank and file. We do have those, what are those what are the neighborhood officers' name? NRG? Yeah. So we're looking to roll that out to the NRG officers that really do the quality of life, handle the quality of life issues within the districts, because they really are the front lines of getting those complaints and being aware of those nuisance properties. So they have those tools that allow us to then follow up and send those letters out. So yes, it's a process. It's been less than a year. We're really working on formalizing everything so this could run no matter who the director is, who the chief of police is, that we have a system that becomes a part of the culture. And that takes time, and we're working on it.
You know what, Mr. Chair, and I'm going to close out. Let me, and this is a thought. Frontline workers, not just with you guys. Mr. Chair, you have our sanitation workers out there working. You have a lot of our employees are out there in the universe, frontline workers. And so they have a workload of what to execute on. But if they see something outside of their workload, it could be whatever the case. If they had a checklist, and I don't know do they have it or not, but if they had that checklist, they could turn it in. Open, vacant, vandalized houses, nuisance properties, chuck holes, whatever the case may be. I know you got a workload, but you could do a job enlargement, and you could turn. They can help also and become our eyes and ears. What do you think?
Well,
I'm asking you.
Oh, okay.
What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of things we could be doing differently, and I'm going to mention in a moment what we could be doing differently. I think again, in some suburban communities, they do just what you've indicated,
They do.
and I can tell you that for a fact. So that's something we're going into, to my colleagues, we're going into the budgetary process. These are all things we need to talk about, think about. So, anything else, Councilman?
That's it right
Okay,
there.
I was
Through the chair.
just going to say this. I'm going to age myself, but we had a protocol.
laughing?
We had a protocol here at one time. I don't even know if this might have been when he was just the patrol officer, but we used to have a building inspector by the name of St. John who was OPATA certified.
Whoa.
OPATA certified. He would actually go out with the police at raids, and at night with the police department, and when you guys hit various locations, he would actually go in and then write up building code violations.
Oh, that's
And it
nice.
worked extremely well. There were 2 of them.
For my time.
Yeah, before your time. But I remember how effective it was because not only you were getting hit by the vice squad, now you got the building department coming in your front door and paying you a visit. And so, and then he retired, and he's been retired. I don't know if, hope he's still around, God willing. But it worked, and it worked well. And then once he retired, there was nobody in that role. But I tell you, I can tell you, as a young council member, I saw the effectiveness of that. Police, vice squad hit a place, boom, the building inspector was right with them. And he was OPATA certified. He carried a handgun. He carried a sidearm.
Wow.
Yep. So these are something we need to talk about during the budgetary process.
You know, Mr. Chairman, they got to cross-train workers.
Yeah.
It's not just throwing money at something. You got to cross-train them, do job enlargements, so that, and I think that would help the whole out.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
discuss that during
Okay.
budget hearings.
Thank you. Councilman Slife.
Thank you, and I just want to make sure that I understand process as I'm experiencing it. I have on my computer screen a letter that was sent to a property owner for the $3,000 owed for November, and to my knowledge, they have yet to submit an abatement plan. Are they still in the pre-nuisance phase because we're pending the abatement plan, or are they a nuisance, or is it hard to speculate without seeing and having the address?
And just on that point, are all members of council getting copies of those letters that are going on? Listen up.
Through the chair to the council. The council receives, according to the ordinance, letters when we send out warning letters and declared nuisances.
And that goes to the member or the clerk?
It goes to the clerk, which is then distributed to the
Okay,
member.
then we have a breakdown there because I don't believe that's being distributed.
Through the chair, it's been a minute because of the issues with
Okay.
the CAD system and the RMS system, so there
Okay.
hasn't been
Thank you.
a large amount of nuisance
Councilman
letters
Slife,
sent
thank you
from
for
them.
bringing that up. Go ahead.
In terms of we do not wait for them to submit an abatement plan. That's just a requirement. It used to be in the old ordinance that you could get out of being declared a nuisance if you submitted an abatement plan. We now turn an abatement plan into a requirement once you get the warning letter. If you never submit it to us, we're going to keep fining you. If you do, if another event happens and you still don't submit it, we're going to keep fining you for not submitting an abatement plan, and we're going to declare you nuisance, so on and so on. That doesn't. We're not waiting on that.
Okay, so thank you. So through the chair, this is for informational purposes. This property in front of me may or may not be a nuisance letter, but they are being subject to the $100 a day fine for failure to submit the plan.
Through the chair, correct. They have received the warning letter that they're in danger of being declared a nuisance. They may not have been declared a nuisance yet, but they are being fined $100 a
Gotcha.
day.
Okay, that's fine. And then you had indicated through the chair that the taxes will get certified in September, and that will be an annual process. This coming September, will that be the first time that occurs?
Through the chair to the councilman, that would be the second time it occurred because we did have some fines that were not paid when we started this in June. $5,500 were certified to the county to property taxes last September.
Okay.
How many properties?
I do not know how many properties.
And let us know. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. And just doing rough math, we're talking about $5,000 annually if you go through an entire year of not submitting. That's my math was too high. So there's 12 months in a year. $33,650.
Whatever 365.
Yeah, okay, let's do math. Let's stop doing
times
math.
100 is. You had to put two zeros.
$36,000. Yeah, there we go. There you go.
30.
Math is whatever you want it to be. I've always said. So that's great. My follow-up questions that I don't know if they're appropriate for today are going to be understanding how we lean on the county then to begin tax foreclosure proceedings. I think there have been a number of instances in the past where even like lawn cutting and stuff has caused properties to go into tax foreclosure, and what do we need to understand as a policy? There's always been a reluctance in the past to foreclose on properties through tax foreclosure that are occupied. And I think we need to have an internal discussion amongst ourselves of if there's a nuance here for what an occupied nuisance property would be when this could become the opportunity to physically remove the nuisance.
Through the chair to Councilman's life, that's a great point, and that's, I believe, for another discussion. Like you said, an internal discussion about that versus at the table right now.
Okay, and so just something for us all to
Right.
think about over the next coming months. My final question, so the limitation in the previous law having been that a police officer inevitably is going to show up 2 minutes later than the nuisance, or people see the police officer coming and they turn down the music and now everything's hearsay. What onus is on the neighbors to report, and if there's a desire to remain anonymous due to fear of retaliation, does that exist, or are we still relying on neighbors to make some formal declaration and their fear of retaliation could be well founded, I suppose?
Through the chair, to the councilman, of course, we can't make any promises that any thing would be held confidential. I can say, looking through the CAD system, when they do make calls, some people choose not to leave their names. It says anonymous. We're unable to, from what we see, to go up and after and figure out who that person is who called. The only way that would hurt the prosecution of these is they appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Of course, the rules of evidence don't apply in those administrative hearings. It's just a matter of whether the people on the Board of Zoning Appeal membership believes the evidence that we present, whether it's just the calls that we received and other evidence. Maybe there was some photographs, maybe a police officer eventually went through, whatever evidence we have. We wouldn't necessarily rely on actual live testimony of people. Of course, that would be helpful, but it's not necessary. And then there's an importance of, are we able to abate the nuisance without declaring it a nuisance? If by the time the person's appealing it, have they abated it themselves, then we believe the problem was solved. We don't have to go any further, and we could just concede and have the appeal granted.
Okay, so if there maybe a quick way to, maybe a rule of thumb would be, if you're going to call, it's understandable you might want to remain anonymous on the call. We really need you to remain anonymous in a live discussion with the police officer and ask for an anonymity at that point. But anonymity prior to talking to an officer would make it exceedingly difficult to use our system because we are relying on witness testimonies. But choosing to remain anonymous while giving that information for a police report is not going to throw a wrench in this entire system.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, for keeping time. Last question here, Councilman Joe Jones.
Mr. Chairman, to the director, what would probably be really beneficial, Mr. Chairman, as a suggestion, is that the new members as well as some of the old members have an opportunity to take tour to see how the whole entire system operates and works, in terms of being able to go to the crime center, as well as a lot of the times when I'm dealing with issues, I have to call dispatch. They'd like to have the opportunity to go and take a tour of dispatch. I know that we had done some things like that some years previously, but it would be nice for maybe the council to really have an ideal and an opportunity to understand all the funds that are allocated to our safety forces is over 2/3 of our budget. We should know how some of these systems work, and then how some of these systems can be more efficient and effective in our respective territories. And I think part of that is getting a real good, thorough orientation.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. As it pertains to the nuisance law, Assistant Director Schechner, he can really walk you through that, any member, as it pertains, because I work very closely with the director indicated, with both of them, especially Jason, in the course of the changes we made because of my own frustration. So on that, but it's a good suggestion for the new members to go through police headquarters. On that note, I had the opportunity myself to tour the new police headquarters just to get a see as to where we are. They are in the home stretch, so maybe I would suggest that we, unless you want it to happen now, the new police headquarters were set to open when?
It should be before by the third quarter of this year.
By by September?
Jared, it's about right. Once you guys going in the new building.
Okay, well then, I don't think we want to wait that long. So we'll coordinate something for the, good suggestion, for the new members or anyone else who would like to go over and see police headquarters. Now, would that be, or wait a minute, let's back up. That should be the 3rd district, because he wants to see
I
dispatch.
was going to say to the chair, I believe Councilman Jones had mentioned he mentioned a real-time crime center, which
Right.
is in a different location.
Right.
And he also mentioned dispatch, and that would have to be coordinated through the Division of Police because there are certain requirements because
Right.
of
Okay.
leads, information, and so forth. But
Yes.
again, they would have to coordinate that.
Okay, we'll with staff, we'll coordinate that for the 3rd district and then the 205. Okay, thank you, Councilman Jones. Okay, are there any other questions on the nuisance law? Again, whatever data you can supply to us, we're going to check with the clerk to make sure, and I would say to staff as well, let's want to make sure that the information that the clerk is getting is being disseminated to members of the council as pertains to the nuisance law. Okay,
If I can,
Yes.
before you move on, I know
Yes.
we're going to move on to the
Yes,
drones,
briefly.
but I did contact Director Laird of Public Works,
Yeah.
and he said that they have a system in place with his employees, his team, that if they see something out there,
Yes.
they report it in. So there is a system in place, as the question was asked by Councilman Conwell. He's not here. But yes, there is a system in place by Public Works. When the workers are out, or employees are out there, they see something, they make a complaint, and that's followed up on.
Well, I hope they're reporting them streets that haven't been plowed yet. That's what I'm hoping, okay? Okay, let's go into, briefly on the drones.
Sure. Can
Okay.
I have Deputy Chief Shalat comes up? He's
And I know this is probably the worst time of weather to be talking about drones, because I don't even know if you can fly them in this weather, but you'll educate us quickly.
Deputy Chief Shalat will talk about the police drone program.
And to the viewing public, council passed legislation, please correct me if I'm incorrect, over 2 years ago, well over 2 years ago, to purchase drones. They had been purchased. There was a question whether or not they could fly them based on the federal monitor and based on the Citizens Police Commission. That issue, though I believe those issues have been resolved, correct? And identify yourself for the viewing public.
Good afternoon, Chair. Deputy Chief Jared Shalat, and I'm Chief of Staff for Division of Police.
Okay, was I correct in what I indicated?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then proceed.
So far, since the start of our drone program, the division has had 12 official deployments over the course of this time. Large-scale public events, crime scene documentations, and the large-scale public events are involved our event action plans to where they're in our safety plans to be part of the process. Each instance, drones were used as a support tool, not as a surveillance platform. All deployments fell into 2 categories: pre-authorized uses or command-approved uses, which are within the policy. Within the policy, all flights were conducted over public accessible areas where individuals do not have reasonable expectation of privacy. So we were not going in residential areas, into people's backyards, looking into windows or anything of that nature. So far, it's not been targeted surveillance on an individual person. We do not use any facial recognition with the drones. We do not employ automated analytics with the drones either. They're not used for crowd control or anything of that nature. So far, it's been successful. We have several certified FAA certified drone pilots. We have them trained regularly. We're developing a training schedule for the year of 2026 where they are going to be coming down quarterly to train in the drones, not just during events. So they stay sharp with their skills and things of that nature, and the equipment, the updates to the equipment. Every deployment has been properly documented using standardized reporting forms. And so far, it's been a success. We're looking this year to expand the drone program, possibly purchase more, get them out into the districts. We're looking at, we started because of the updates, overnight updates, the charging, things of that nature, the care of the drones. We have them stored at a central location where officers come down, get them, so everything's done, they return them. But we're looking to get them out into the districts now to increase the availability and response time to scenes when needed.
Okay. How many drones do we have up?
9.
9? And they're under what system? What system do they operate?
Skydio,
How do you spell that?
SKYDIO.
SKYDIO. So 9 drones, 9 Sky, and that's what we would call them, 9 Skydio drones, or what do you refer to these as?
Yes, sir. Drone UAS.
Okay. Now, we also have additional drones that are operating where?
We don't have any other drones operating right now, but we do have the public safety drone program that we're going to implement as the first responder drone program through public safety. We're in the process now, again, through the Department of Public Safety, to get that program off the ground.
Okay.
We are in the process of purchasing the drone, having the drone installed on one of our centrally located fire station. The drone will deploy from a fire station to areas along the shoreline in case there's water rescues, missing persons,
Yes.
and also highways for accidents, so forth. This is about situational awareness for the commanders, supervisors, and fire as well as EMS. So to have real-time situational awareness by having the drones respond to situations.
So they're going to be used for fire, EMS, animal control.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So now other cities like Detroit have utilized them in partnership with their building and housing department to fly over areas that are inaccessible or where there's issues. And I know there was I believe it was in Michigan Supreme Court decision, because I guess someone questioned that. And from what I understand, the Michigan Supreme Court said the city was fine to do that as long as it was for public use. And I guess it was an issue with the junkyard. They flew over, they were trying to find out what was going on in this junkyard. And I guess I'm just hoping at some point that we can utilize them with building and housing and other departments in division as it pertains to public health and welfare. So that I'll put that out to you guys to think about that. I was under the impression we had purchased either 10 or 12 drones. Where's the rest? Where did they go?
I can look into that for you, sir.
I can tell you it was more than 9.
3 of them could be training drones.
Okay.
9 are operable, 3 are for training. I'll confirm
Okay.
that. Though.
Yeah, that would actually give you the numbers you're talking
Okay,
about, because
okay.
that would be, 9 are operational. They're using
Okay,
3, so we did
so
purchase about 12.
How many operators do we have? / pilots.
I'll get the exact number, but between 10 and 12.
Okay. And we have not strategically positioned them yet, because you heard mention about districts.
To the chair, for the public safety drone first responders program,
Right.
the drone itself, which will be attached to a fire station roof, will be centrally located for now. Right now, for the drone first responders program,
Yeah.
it is a pilot program to see its effectiveness, and if it's
Okay.
effective, we'll come back to council for an ask.
Right.
So we'll have the data to support it. As far as
The police drones, I'm talking.
the police drones, I'll have to defer to the deputy chief.
Deputy Chief?
Sir, we have operators in every district, but like I said, as of right now, as we develop the policy and carve out locations for these drones to be stored properly, charged, updated, we have them at the Real-Time Crime Center, so they're constantly under monitoring, charged. Real-Time Crime Center knows when the drones need it, they prep it, so when the
Okay.
drone operator swings by, they hand it to them, they get right back out there.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chairman.
okay, I'll put you down. The question is this. As it pertains to the deployment, every time you put one up in the air, you have to report it to who?
The CPC.
You got to be kidding me.
No, sir.
Every time you put, listen up. Every time you put a drone up, you got to report that?
We have a form that we provide to the CPC, and the drone has a public-facing website, so the public can go on and see exactly what drone went up and where it flew, how long it flew. It gives a map with the line of where it flew.
But you don't have to notify them before you put it up, do you?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
So they don't have a veto.
No, sir.
Okay, that's okay. Is there anything else before I call Councilman Jones or anyone? Any other comment, questions?
Through the chair,
The drones are who manufactured the drones? What brand are they?
Skydio.
Oh, Skydio. Okay. Okay. We might. I will tell you right now. We might at some point request a demonstration.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll figure that out. We'll coordinate. Yeah, you want one? You want to fly one? I know that. Okay, so we'll work on a demonstration so you can track Councilman Starr out in the neighborhoods. Okay, so we'll go for that. Okay, Councilman Joe Jones. Okay.
You know, we've been talking about this drone scenario now. I think this is the fifth year when we first started talking about this, and I guess because I haven't yet to see one. I know that we've spent money and we've purchased them, and we talked about them, and we talked about the issues of the commission and approval. So, and though I've heard what we've had to say here today, are you saying we can now fly them or we cannot fly them? What are we able to do with the drone program right
We
now?
can fly them through the chair. Sir, we have flown them. We can fly them.
Okay, so they are operational.
Yes, sir, through the
Okay,
chair.
and we have a total of, it's my understanding, 9 now.
Through the chair, we have 9 that we're operating.
Okay. Now, each of these drones, it was my understanding that they cost anywhere between $3,000 and $13,000. What are their costs on these drones, Mr. Chairman?
These were not cheap. I can tell you because I can't remember the exact dollar amount, but they were not cheap. Okay.
Through the chair, I would have to get you the exact amount.
I see. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll be your huckleberry on this, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to go out and see the drones. I'd like to go to the site, take a look at them. I could set up that time with the safety director and the
Through the
director
chair,
here.
we can make that happen.
Thank
And it'll be real quick, and I can come back and report to you.
Okay. Okay. Any other? Yes, Councilwoman Hudson.
Thank you. Through the chair to Deputy Chief Schlock. You mentioned that, just for clarification for me and for the public, you mentioned that drones are used for large-scale public events and that they're a support tool, not a surveillance platform. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Through the chair, yes, ma'am. So think of a large-scale event, the Browns game, Indians game, Cavs game, even a large demonstration. We're not surveilling the crowd. We're looking at the outside. How wide is this crowd? Is traffic coming towards it? Is there something on the outskirts that we have to worry about that's concerning? Things of that nature.
And can you just explain what you mean by surveillance tool? You said that it's not used for facial recognition, so it's just to assess the size of the crowd, to determine necessary safety measures, but not to identify certain people in the crowd.
Through the chair, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Before I call Councilman Conwell, the original discussion, because I'm the one that pushed for the drones years ago, and I appreciate the administration support. It was the purpose for the drones were to help in our efforts to identify and chase suspects, to look for missing children. They were all based on public safety, not any type of surveillance. It was to safeguard our men and women in blue, our citizens, and our children. That was the original intent for the drone program. And please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's never been any intent to vary from that, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. It was to safeguard our men and women in blue and for protection. So, okay, Councilman
Mr. Chairman,
Conwell.
what about for drug houses?
I,
Through the chair, it just depends on the situation, but it's used again from a public safety police standpoint to help the officers, obviously for situational awareness. But again, it's not for surveilling individuals, but again to provide real-time information to our officers.
And Mr. Chairman, the reason why I asked that is because we had a real bad issue on one of the streets, and the street club president decided to buy one of those drones and throw her up, to survey the issues as relates to drug activity. And they're really tiffed off about it because we don't have the police down there really fundamentally dealing with this issue, where we've had 2 drug houses back and forth. The citizens complained about it over and over again. One of the residents, Mr. Chairman, to the safety director, and we're not opposed to dealing with some of these issues in this way because they're destroying our community. And so much to such a degree where the neighbor decided to move away from their house and their home they had lived in for over 40 years because of this behavior from this house and how poorly the quality of lives, they were being threatened by the drug house people and the drug dealers. Bottles and stuff and glass was broken in their driveways. They consistently were harassed. Neighbors across the street were being harassed. Then there was another drug house that opened up shop. It seemed like the two knew each other. Then this was when we had Commander Cunt. And so whatever. And so we even had a person who was willing to let their surveillance be used and in confidence, and somehow their information got out. And the drug dealer house across the street, the drug dealer knew it almost as if it was immediate. As soon as Commander Cunt was given it, the information, all of a sudden, these people was harassed by the drug dealer saying, hey, we know you gave this information. We know you gave the camera out. And so now they felt that their lives were on the table. And then they were looking at putting their homes up for sale because the police department wasn't able to protect them. So I'm saying all that, Mr. Chairman, to let the director know we have some serious issues in our community. We have some serious issues that it's a shame that a citizen would have to go and buy a drone to throw it up, to take footage, and then to try to report that footage over. So, and then to be assaulted after the fact. We're concerned about the 4th District, Mr. Chairman, to our safety director, because this is not just merely some of the issues we talked about earlier, but some of this stuff is far-fetching and hitting home.
Thank you, Councilman.
And I don't mind getting with you, Mr. Chairman, to the director, because I'd love to see our drones and see how they operate.
We will. We'll get that presentation. Councilman Conwell.
So with the drones, and when you have them in the air, when you look at that, I'm gonna ask you 2 questions, and I'll be fast through the chair. You got we don't cut our trees back. We don't cut the limbs back, and the vegetation is so bad that, let's say, for example, if you go on Austin or Pierpont or Lakeview, and the street lights are on, you think it's still dark because you can't see because of the vegetation. Is that a problem with the drones? Through the chair.
Director, whoever.
Through the chair to the councilman, it can be. We have flare, which is the heat seeking if needed, depending on what the situation calls for. But also, when we deploy our drone operators, it's not just the drone operator. They also have a spotter that's out there with them. So while the drone operator is concentrating on operating the drone, We have the spotter listening to radio, looking for surrounding cars possibly driving by, looking, hey, you're getting too close to that tree, things of that nature. It has not been an issue whatsoever so far in the deployments. But when it comes to the trees like that, I know the city has propped up the 311, and if it's an issue, any of the citizens can call 311 and request these trees to cut back, and it'll get put on the radar for them.
We've been trying to get trees cut back for a long time. They just won't do it. Cut the trees and the vegetation back. And it's a safety issue to the chair, to the safety director, because when you do your streetlight maintenance at night, the debris, what it does, it makes the lights seem like it's dimmer, because you can't see, or the street is, and the lights are good lights, but you know, that stuff has to get cut back. But they just, like Councilman Joe Jones said, they won't do it. They just won't do it.
So who do we call
Well,
other
through the
than
chair,
311,
chair.
Mr. Chairman? Who do we call? Who?
Through the chair, obviously, 311 is one avenue to make sure that they.
One ain't doing it. Who do we call, Mr. Chairman? To the
Well,
director?
if I would contact the director and/or the commissioner of that
No,
department.
we've contacted the director
Okay.
now.
Well-
and we're still not getting it done.
Well,
so
we-
who do we
we're-
contact on
we're-
the safety side that can get it done for us?
Director?
Through the chair to Councilman to Councilman Conwell as well as Councilman Jones. We in the Department of Public Safety will work with Urban Forestry. That's who's responsible for after cutting trees back and so forth. The Department of Public Safety cannot do that, but we work with them from all of government approach to ask them to cut back those branches that are causing problems.
And the only reason why I'm asking, Mr. Chairman, and I think my colleague has brought up a really good situation, is I had to go and cut the stuff back myself.
Me too.
You know, I went and got my clippers and went and cut it, so Mrs. Johnson will know that her councilman is fast action.
And through the chair, well, again, we work with Urban Forestry to, again, that's part of their responsibility. Again, all of government approach to attack those particular areas. Use the word attack, but to cut back and cut down those particular trees or branches that are causing problems and making blind spots or preventing the street lights from working properly.
Well, see, I thought, Mr. Chairman, you
Yeah.
might have had someone in your department that could do it for us. So.
To the chair, CPP will do it also.
Okay.
If we reach out to
Okay.
them, but it take forever and that safety. And I want to ask one more question.
Yes, you have the floor yet.
Okay, let's say, for example, you have an incident, or you have, even with the fire, to you, safety director, with the fire department. When they go to put the fire out, it's a science. It's not just go there and do surround and drown. They're planning before they get there. So what if we had a drone to get there, because they could get there before the fire department, and it might say, we don't need to have 3 vehicles, or we might need more, because this drone could survey the scene, shoot the intelligence or the information right back to the fire engine, and then we could plan before we get there. And I think that will help us out, because it's planning.
Through the chair to Councilman Conwell, that's what this public safety drone first responder program, exactly what you just described. The drones would be deployed before the fire engines or apparatus are there to provide real-time information to the commanders or the supervisors to see if they need 3 rigs, 3 apparatus, or just one.
Yeah, that's
So
good
obviously
stuff.
that will save us on the apparatus that's going out to the scenes. So yeah, that is the reason why we have that. Same thing with EMS. If there's an accident on the highway or wherever the case might be, having a drone respond, provide real-time information that, yes, it's on a highway, there are multiple vehicles involved in it, you need police on scene, you need probably fire apparatus to block traffic. So that's what the premise behind this drone first responders program is. Also, with the shoreline that we have here with our lake and our rivers, to be able to respond out there in case there's rescue. Again, you can send a drone out to see if there's actually a victim. Again, to see what type of equipment you need to send to that particular call.
Got it. So creating that system, do we need to have drones in every fire department, or where the EMS is at?
To the chair, to Councilman Conwell, that's a great question. This program that we are putting together, again, the Public Safety Drone First Responders Program, is a pilot. So we start with one drone. that will be placed on a centrally located fire station. There is a hub there, as we call it, that the drone will respond from. If this drone program works well, and we believe it will, based on our research from other departments and other cities, our intent is to provide data to support our ask, which is potentially to use it or expand the program to a couple other fire stations, so we'll have coverage for the entire city. So that's gonna, again, first we're gonna have the pilot program, if it works, and I believe we'll be successful, and then expand the program. But obviously, we have to come back here to council, get that approved.
And I'll yield.
Thank you.
When you send for first responders sometime,
Mr.
the
Chairman.
fire truck, we're spending a lot of gas, a lot of time, a lot of money. I think when you create this system, it will help us out with time management, which will help us out a great deal. So, I mean, for me, I approve something like that if you get ahead of the game. But, as I mentioned earlier, you gotta cut those trees back so it can see things better.
Through the chair, we certainly understand, again, part of this deployment will provide immediate advanced situational awareness for our commanders for deployment of our resources. And we'll work with urban forestry. Again, the identified, we need to know what the locations are relative, and CPP relative to some of these branches that need to be cut back.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
and all due respect to my esteemed colleague, there are so many trees that need to be trimmed in this city. You better start raising beavers, let me tell you, okay?
I know,
Okay,
man, I
you
know.
start the beaver
It's crazy.
operation, okay?
But it is
Right.
correlated to safety,
Right.
so.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Jones, your last
Chairman,
question
Mr.
before we
Chairman,
get
I-
out of here.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I'm so appreciative that you're the chairman of the safety
Oh, yeah,
committee.
I'm sure. I question, did I win or did I lose? That's what I'm
I appreciate. See, I don't give accolades unless I mean it.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not saying it for any other reason than I
Okay.
mean it.
Okay.
And I appreciate the fact that you take the time to drill down and you're not in a rush, because safety is a major issue for the citizens of the city of Cleveland. And as the chairman of this committee, as long as you've been the chairman, you have taken your time to vet out some of these things. And I'm sitting at this table, and I know my citizens in my neighborhood are appreciative that they get an opportunity to hear these things broken all the way down.
Thank you.
And I've been in situations where we've had rushed committees, where they just want to rush through the stuff and just give you 2 seconds to talk about a very complicated issue. I am equally impressed at the fact that the director talked about these drones, and I kind of snickled the inside a little bit about how fast the drone would be versus the fire truck. and I got to tell you that I don't think that you have a drone fast enough that does a great job like our fire department. They are on it, and if you do get a drone that can beat one of them trucks, I'd like to see it. So
Okay.
that was just my comment
Thank
I wanted
you.
to add in here, is because
Okay.
our fire department to our safety director is stellar. And,
Through Chair,
I
I agree.
appreciate the work they do.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So without any further ado, I appreciate the line of questioning of my colleagues. I appreciate, again, the fact that we apologize to the director of administration. We were late because we had a very important caucus meeting with VAPAC. So we will coordinate. At some point, we're going to get a full tour of the new police headquarters so everybody can see that. And then we'll coordinate as it pertains. Just finally, the drones cannot fly over what wind speed?
I'd have to get that for you, sir.
And as it pertains to cold, can they fly in this weather?
They can fly in the cold. It's really the wind.
The wind?
and-
Okay.
and the
So-
precipitation.
okay, thank you very much. Okay, without any further ado, Safety Committee stands adjourned. Thank you.